Meeting to order. And I'm just marking down who we have. Jill, Jim, is Pam planning on coming or you're not sure?
I didn't hear from her one way or the other.
Okay, sounds good. Well, why don't we start with just our agenda here? Is that what you're saying, I hope?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So the first thing was public participation, and I was hoping, Jim, that you might be able to enlighten us or not in terms of the governor's executive orders. That I know some of that is coming to an end, and I just wanted to understand anything specific for us, especially about meeting in person versus meeting via Zoom.
I did not check on that provision specifically, but I don't think that is ending at this point. I can certainly look for an update on that and get back to you.
Okay, because if that particular executive order is coming to an end, then our next meeting would potentially be in person, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, if you could check on that and let us know.
Absolutely.
I know that this board had indicated that they were willing to continue to meet via Zoom as long as it was acceptable. Does the board still feel that way?
Yep.
Yeah.
I for one think it's good to have meetings in person, and we get so little public participation. My sense is the matter is that when we're going this way, that it's even less potential for that. That's just my thought. But these things have certainly been convenient for me, and I mean I'm here and I get get to participate. But that's just my general feeling about it.
Okay, Charlie, your thought?
I like the idea of having it both available. I also miss all your smiling faces that I can't see as clearly on my teeny tiny screen. So I guess I would go, now that the COVID issue hopefully is in receding, I don't have a druther one way or the other.
Okay.
Either way is fine.
Well, depending on what Jim comes up with, if I do know the Board of Selectmen have been meeting in person, or actually sort of a hybrid, and that may be something that we can consider where some of us in town hall and some of us who are remote if they need to be remote. Kristen?
Yeah, no, I was just going to support basically what Charlie just said. I like having the hybrid option just because, I mean, if we look at our meeting tonight, if Bob wasn't able to meet remotely, we wouldn't have a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
It does offer that flexibility, and I like the fact that we can leverage our technology to support moving the needle forward to get the business done that we need to get done. But I also like meeting in person. I think a hybrid option would be favorable, because I'm not opposed to meeting in person either, but I do see value in also, mixing the two together. And we did that with the cabin meeting. Some people met in person, and I was online, and so were a few others.
Refresh my memory, everybody. When we have the meeting at the town hall and we do a hybrid where people can Zoom in, we have electronic equipment set up at the town hall that can allow that, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But does it require a special person to be there to run the equipment?
Jim.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's Jim. That's a special person.
Well, I mean, realistically, what we've asked is that two members of every board or commission just come by town hall and meet with Gary and take about a 10-minute tutorial. And we have written instructions on the table. It really is not difficult. So I If I can do it, any one of you can do it. I
Wow.
promise.
Bold
Emily?
statement. So what I will do is I will look into becoming trained on said equipment. I'm going to guess that I will be able to do it as well. And you know, based on what we say, we might we might look to do the hybrid going forward. So stay tuned. and we'll-
Emily, this is Linda.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes. Mhm.
I was under the impression that the governor's executive order regarding remote meetings expires April 30th.
Okay.
So, unless he's amended it, that was my interpretation, that that particular executive order would cease on April 30th.
So we have a little time to,
True. So thank you, Linda. I know Jim wasn't sure exactly what the date was. So if that's the date, then, you know, we do have some time. I will look to become town hall technical approved, certified. I'm not sure what the right word is. Sooner rather than later, just so that if we do want to start doing that, we can.
I'll be back in a week and a half, and I would, if a caveman could do it, I'll try it.
Okay.
And I would like the hybrid meetings, at least for a little while, because I've had some treacherous rides home from Bolton during the winter after the meetings. And if I can get through the winter, you know, doing the meetings remotely, that would be nice.
That I think that would be completely acceptable. So. Okay. Any other public comments, general comments before we move on to our agenda? Okay. Our first item on the agenda is our meeting minutes, which I'm hoping you're sharing, you're seeing.
We are.
Emily, I have one change that I noticed up in the heading. It should be Thursday, January 20th, not Wednesday.
Yes, thank you. I read that and I said, that doesn't seem right, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was.
Yeah.
And Linda, thank you for, you know, making the change in terms of including others present.
Mhm.
Did anybody else have any additional changes?
I gave it a quick read. I did not see anything.
Okay. Hearing none, no other changes, then I ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve minutes.
I second.
Thank you, Bob and Kristen. All in favor, I'm just say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda is Board of Education update. We do not have anybody from the Board of Ed here. So let me just I need to move my little bar over so I can find my. Yep, I have the wrong Board of Ed. There's the correct Board of Ed. So as of January 31st, they have expended 47% of the appropriated budget. Last year, it had at the same time was 49%. Currently, they are projecting an underspend of $170,000, which is an increase from the prior month. That is primarily due to staffing that has not been filled. I know one staff member that Superintendent Heck mentioned that had been hired has in fact started. That is the school's psychologist, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
She has started, I think she started actually might have been the beginning of this week. Or the end of last week. I don't recall. So, so that position has been filled. Any other questions about the, their budget? I do know they made some internal transfers.
Emily, I have a quick question, and I don't know if you can answer this or not. How many open positions do we have now at the moment since that last position was filled? Is it 4?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay. All right, we'll just park it.
It is one
The
last
vac-
time.
But the vacancies they have are just having a very difficult time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, looking into the future, we may have this kind of continuing difficulty for a while.
Mhm.
There's just people retiring and not enough young teachers wanting to come in.
True. So you can see that there are a few transfers from the last month. As Superintendent Hecht, I think, mentioned, if not, she said it in the Board of Ed meeting, the school is at an age that there are certain things that are now not working. So they're going through some replacement of like the water bottle filling station, and there were some parts having to do with the heating system that they had to replace. There have been transportation issues. And so I know that, especially for sports, there's been some moving money around there. And those are about all the ones that I can talk to.
When I was looking at that and looking at these things, the question in my mind came up. Now I was noticing, I understand where technology can be a $10,000 change that cost occur that's happening. And then I noticed something like, I was looking back at purchase supplies, textbooks for history, I guess, $5,000. Where was it? The question that jumps to my mind, actually, that doesn't say $5,000. Bad eyes.
$7,411, that one?
Yeah, where we are looking at, what I get curious about is they do, I know there's not room to be able to lump in a detailed description, so, and I don't disagree that they might not have the expense or whatever. But the caution that I have is if they're saying textbooks, are we looking at all of the textbooks of all of the classes? Are we looking at one specific class? Are we looking at all of the history books? So my mind is saying that, okay, for $7,000, what are you getting? Which they may probably need it, but I'm just curious as to, say $7,000 for textbooks is a lot of money if unless each textbook costs $200. And I can't see a textbook costing $200. So I get a little curious.
Yeah, nowadays even more than that.
They are quite expensive.
And for history, I know they go out of date too, because it's history. They need to update it. But I think it's a fair question just to ask.
I can ask that question. If I look at American history, to me, that says that it is one or two classes, because there's also world history.
Right.
There are a couple different history classes. I don't know the history curriculum all that well. But you're right. I mean,
And they need to be updated, and I understand that, and they should be updated. It's just that I'm wondering if they're doing all the history at that time, or are they just doing, one class worth kind of thing?
Is that Valerie?
I can definitely look into that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm in a meeting.
Right. Any other
No, no.
questions?
Actually, look, I can
Yeah, I'm in the
go on a
meeting.
little bit
Cindy.
more about this, okay?
Mhm.
What it does is draw to my mind saying that if they say they need to do it this month, they're doing textbooks. 2 months down the road, they say they're doing textbooks, but they're not saying what the textbooks are or where they are. Is could it be that, for example, that they've ordered textbooks and the order didn't come in, or it came in differently and they had to pay additional monies? So are we looking at where there have subscription problems or acquisition problems? Or are they have a set plan that they're replacing all of the textbooks in the entire school system as they are able to do that? So that to me is smart planning, but I'd like to know, for example, if they've replaced the history books every year for the next 10 years, that may be overkill. So I don't know, I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, you could count on Kristen and company to do, to have this well planned. And I remember textbooks, several years, many years ago, being like $250, $300 a piece then. I wouldn't be surprised they're like $400 now. So $7,000, that could be just one class of like 14 kids, 20 kids. It's.
I guess I'm really old, huh?
I will look into that because
Charlie.
it would be good to understand, just so that when we see textbooks, when we see a $7,000 hit, just to put it in perspective, is it one history class? Is it one class? Is it multiple classes? Obviously, history textbooks are going to be more, and math textbooks will be more expensive than some of the literature books because they're just individual books. So though you need 10 of those individual books for all of the kids. So
Yeah, and they're all high quality.
Follow up on that.
Yeah.
I just looked up quick and they're over $200 a book.
yikes.
Yes, it's over
Thank you.
220. It's $221 and change a book. So you're only getting 33 books for that cost. So that's really not that may not even cover a whole grade.
Right.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for on the Board of Ed budget?
Just an observation, if I might.
Yes.
I always zero in on and focus on the wages and benefits. So I mentioned last month, I believe that they were $100,000 less in total expenditures in those combined budgets from last year. And my suspicion is that the difficulty that they're having with positions is going to continue. Last year, at the end of June, I believe the unspent cash was just shy of $1 million, like $978,000 or something. I don't expect it's going to be that much, but we're kind of heading in that direction. In the way I look at stuff, anyhow, and so I guess the more they spend on these other items, now when we're kind of flush, it's probably good.
Mm-hmm. This is last fiscal year's at the same time period. Just from a comparison perspective. So.
Yeah, the spend. Okay, here we are. The one we just saw was $6.1 million. Now we're looking at the 22 one, I think. Okay, there
This
we
is the 21 one, yeah.
Right. So the year-to-date expended there was $6,107,000. Okay, so when you look at 22,
You're at 5,000,008.
yeah, so $230,000 less expenditure than this time last year, which means we're probably increasing at about a rate of 100 grand or a little more a month.
Mhm. If you look percentage wise, last year was 49%, this year it's 48%. So that does, for salary and benefits. So, and this year, I know that hopefully we shall see that slow down a little bit now that we have at least one more, the school psychologist on board. We still have those openings, and I will find out how many, Kristen, because I know you asked that question. So.
If I could just add something, it's really just something I think we all need to be very mindful of when we really start digging into the budget season and being able to speak to extra money. And just, I applaud Bob and Roe for keeping track of the amount that it's, I don't want to say saving us at the moment, but the extra money that has not been spent because of, the reason why. And I just don't want the why to get lost when we're doing budget next, in the next month or so, when we really start digging in. Because it may people can look at it and say, oh, look, we have money, they're giving money back, but it's not because they were squirreling it away. It was just because of the open positions. I think it's all important to make sure we're able to speak to it. And
Yeah,
Anything to keep
that's
in
the right
mind.
observation, Kristen.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that we should end up reducing their requests by that much or anything. By no means. It is a bunch of factors that are repeating each other, repeating it in themselves in another year. And so I'm just saying that I think we're kind of heading down the road that's going to show some similar results.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to revenue summary?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Tax revenue for where we are right now. And Jim, I don't know if you have anything that you want to comment on in terms of where we are with tax collections for the supplemental levy and also supplemental motor vehicle.
I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves that, Lori continues to do an excellent job. She has not expressed any concerns to date so far. I know we had a very busy end of month with people coming to visit and pay tax bills. And I think these numbers reflect that.
Jill, is there anything that you want to?
Again, I just want to remind everybody that we had a few, right now it's about a $30,000 overpayment that will go out between, that hasn't gone out, it's not reflected in this report, but so we're about a $30,000 overpayment that will hopefully all reflect in the February expenditures, which will reduce the overpayments here. So the 100.98% may be a little high because there's overpayments, not drastic. I mean, we're doing well, but there is going to be a reduction in that number as it stands. We're doing very well in supplemental. We're over the 100% of the 98%. I think we're at $195,000 right now that we've collected out of the 175, which is wonderful, but I'm concerned about the supplemental number next year.
Well, give us that bigger boost.
Right. With the cost or the price of used cars going up and not the ability to get new cars, I think that we're going to have an issue with the supplemental revenue next year. And Charlie, you may be able to speak better than I, but I'm concerned about motor vehicles next year and the supplemental part of it.
Yeah,
But
actually,
we're doing well right now.
yeah, it looks really good. The question that immediately came to my mind was that the collections year to date on this sheet says 156,810. What was the actual amount that was arrived at that we should have been collecting? Because it isn't the 175, that's in the budget. The grand list, the supplemental grand list would contribute how much? The 190 something?
I don't know. Oh, I don't have it on me right now. The 175 is pretty much a guess because we really don't
Right,
know, as you
right.
know. We don't
Until the
have
list
any
is
idea.
completed.
I think it's I think the 100% numbers in the 200,000, but I mean, I can look it up quick if you want.
Yep, that lends itself to exactly what you were saying, that next year, the motor vehicle values are not going to increase 26% again, and 40% in some towns. You know, I've been watching, reading the papers as to what's going on with motor vehicles. They could be completely depressed next year. So, you know, when we put it in the budget, the dollar amount, we have to be very careful with that number and not be influenced by the 200,000 that we may collect this year. We have to note the fact that it could be considerably, and probably would be considerably different next year. So I agree with you. I'm glad you
And I
mentioned.
agree. And I'm concerned about next year for a few reasons. Another reason is the possibility, and Jim may be able to speak a little better to this, the 29 mill rate cap also concerns me.
So as what Jill's referring to is we think that in this year's governor's budget that he is proposing a motor vehicle cap at 29 mil, which is obviously lower than right now it's capped at 39, correct?
30, no, no, it's in the 40s.
45.
Oh, it's in the 40s. So
Yeah.
we've
Yeah, it's
been
45
taxing our
currently.
motor vehicle at our own mill rate. So if that goes through on the governor's budget, that is actually going to be a hit on revenues for us in which we'll also have to take into account. So Charlie, you remember the fact that we shouldn't put too big a number in there. And then we also need to remember that it's going to be at a lower mill rate potentially.
Part of that was that the state funding would make up the difference. If they lower it to 29%, is it in the budget also to make up the difference? And that's where I think we have to be careful as
Right.
to what the state's doing. So,
We
I
would,
did a
we would
quick-
have the line item for that estimate. But we don't know if it's going to be enough to make it up, the difference.
Just a quick calculation of the current grand list. We're going to be in a deficit of at least $55,000.
Mhm.
That's just motor vehicles. That does not include supplemental.
Right.
So we are not made whole, which is going to hurt us. In disregarding the fact that our grand list went up, most of it's motor vehicles, but even with that increasing, we're gonna take a hit.
was the governor proposing for this tax billing period, or was it for the next grand list period?
The FY '23, correct, Jim?
The next budget.
Yeah,
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 okay.
the next fiscal cycle.
Yeah, okay, good, good.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on this?
Nope.
Then why don't I move to additional revenues? Jim, is there anything that we need to be worried about here?
No, I don't, when I reviewed this, I didn't see anything of great concern. Jill, do you have anything to add with that?
No, the numbers that came out last week we're still on target with all the numbers from the state funding. So I'm not concerned with any of the current numbers with the state, and we're doing fairly well with all of our other numbers, I think, other than the tuition from the Columbia students coming in. And just little ones here and there. I don't see us getting $2,000 in the law enforcement. I don't see us getting the library amount or the seniors. They're just not making the donations because they're not going to the casino like they were before. And that's where most of the donations come from. Other than that, and they're small numbers, other than that, I don't see a problem with the rest of the numbers. We did receive all of our town aid roads money. We did receive our second payment for ECS. So we're on target with everything else other than those few small numbers.
Yeah, and the interest still lags.
And
this year.
unfortunately,
Mhm.
yes, and it is increasing, but unfortunately.
It's going to change dramatically next year.
Yeah.
Right. But for this year, I think we're gonna take a huge hit, but
Right.
Jim helped us out with that one permit.
We'll take it.
Yep.
Also, the sale of that one truck, what was it, an old fire truck or something for $24,000 or $26,000? We'll take it. Okay, any other questions on these revenues? Expenditures? I don't see anything highlighted, so that's always a good thing.
Again, everything is really on track. I know, this time last year, we had a couple of line items that, were highlighted. At the end of the year, we did fine, but really everything is on track. I mean, some of the line items you'll see are, largely expensed, but that's because we expense those typically in the first half of the year. So again, I think we're really doing pretty well and remain on track for appropriate spending for this fiscal year.
Okay,
Could I say,
yes, Charlie?
thank you. I was looking at the highway and streets, for example, and thinking initially when I first saw this, I said, oh, great, they're only at 47% versus 61 or 63. And then I realized, of course, that was before the storm that we just had. So that's probably, but we're still probably, like Jim said, in a better position than where we were, last year and even the year before. Because I'm sure that, monies came up for the storm, but it's not going to be no 12% or whatever.
Well, I mean, Jill and I were actually talking about that earlier today. We're kind of keeping our fingers crossed. We have overtime in both the highway budget and the buildings and grounds budget to handle a couple more storms. But that's about it. And, we might have to move money around if we get hit hard in the next month. And, we don't know what tonight's going to bring with these high winds. We could have guys chasing, trees down and branches down and roads blocked. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best.
I was going to say, Jim, you might have just jinxed it by saying we're doing okay on storms.
I got Jim covered. I said something earlier.
Okay, good.
Unfortunately, we've had a lot of long duration storms. They haven't been, super intense, but they've been long duration. They've been on Sundays and holidays. That hurts
where it's double time.
Right.
Yep.
That hurts our budget.
We're currently at both highway and the building and grounds overtime budgets are at 75%.
Okay.
So if we have a long duration storm, either on a Saturday, Sunday, where you're collecting time and a half and double time, whether it's snow or, wind damage, we only got about 2 more storms and then we're going to be looking for money.
Okay.
Because I looked at, how much each storm costs, and we've got about 2 more storms where it's somewhat of a long duration, and then we're going to be scrambling.
So Bob, when you come home, you need to bring the warm weather with no high winds, and we'll be all set.
I'll see what I can do to can some of it.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
great.
That.
I'll take a little bit of the warm weather too, just that's a personal thing. So, okay. Any other question on expenditures?
Nope.
Okay, any other, did I miss any other reports? Oh, transfers.
Transferred. Yeah.
We already went through the Board of Ed transfers. Here are a few transfers from the town side. Any questions? They're really kind of small. Okay, hearing none, I will, so I think we have addressed all of our reports, correct? Did I miss any? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, then let's just quickly talk about the upcoming meetings. I do want to mention to everyone that the Board of Selectmen are meeting next Wednesday night. So Bob Monroe, you might be busy, given what you were saying earlier. But that is at 7, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to go through, they've done all their very detailed budget reviews. Now they're sort of at the, let's look at holistically, where are we, where do we want to be, that kind of thing. So anybody who would like to attend that, the Zoom information will be coming out. They have been meeting in person and Zooming in. If you would like a copy of where they are with the budget, Jill, should they talk to you or Kathy?
Jim and I talked today. Because of COVID, things aren't going like they used to go. So Jim and I talked today. We'll make some copies up. If people, because it's only a few weeks before we're going to hand the whole thing
Right.
over to you anyhow, but we can provide copies if people want them. Kathy, I talked to Kathy today. She was going to make some extra copies for Board of Finance members if they wanted to attend the meetings. So, if you let us know, then we can make sure that everybody's got a copy of where we're at right now. So,
And it is, if you are not planning on attending the meeting next Wednesday, I would say save a couple trees and wait for the March 15th version, because there will be changes between this week's and March 15th, I'm guaranteed.
it's hundreds of pages, so it takes time. That's why we can't, I've been having problems sending things electronically in big bulk, so people will have to come and get them, or we can make arrangements, but it's hundreds of pages, so
I don't want
we
one.
will kill trees.
I mean, the other thing we could do, Jill, is if anybody's interested, we could send them those, those first handful of pages, which really tell the whole story, without
Right.
getting into the nitty gritty of every budget. You can see what, what the proposal for each budget is. And again, I would encourage anybody who's got questions, if you look at any of this information, to reach out, and we'll see what we can do to provide answers as timely as we can.
And I can provide that to anybody. If you just reach out to me and let me know you want, just the top budget sheets, I can do that and not put Kathy through the copying process.
And we also discussed that as we evolve this budget, before we finalize it to bring to the Board of Finance, those are the only pages that we're going to change. So those are really going to tell a story from day one up to the time that we bring the budget to you.
So yes, Board of Selectmen meeting next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'm just looking at my calendar. Board of Ed has a budget review meeting at 6:30 via Zoom. If anybody is interested in attending that, Superintendent Hecht did do a deep dive on her budget. I think that was last week. And so there's a follow-up budget meeting next Thursday at 6:30. And if you are interested, at 7:30, There is a second Board of Ed meeting to discuss masking in the schools based on governor's executive orders. So if anybody's interested in that. Any other sort of,
I do appreciate.
also a CAPA meeting coming up on March 3rd, correct?
Yep.
So, and I apologize, I just started
Yep.
cutting you off.
Emily, I'm sorry, I just keep jumping in. I wanted to express my appreciation for getting those email addresses for the Zoom things and with the Board of Selectmen and possibly with the Board of Education as well, so that I could have the opportunity to do that if I have the time available. So thank you very much for that.
I apologize for the lateness of the one for last night. I kind of deleted the link and I was begging Jim for the link to get on with the meeting myself. But as soon as the link is created for next week, I will make sure that all the Board of Finance members have that link ahead of time. And again, I apologize for the late notice, and I totally understand not attending last night because it was just probably less than an hour before the meeting. But it will be, I will have it to you much sooner next week.
And the
Yep.
Board of Ed one has been established. So Jill, if I forward that to you, can you send it out to all of the Board of Finance members?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
Thank
will
you,
do
Jill.
that afterwards.
I would just suggest, that you just tell Kristen that you have given it to me to give to the Board of Finance members, just so, 'cause unfortunately, we have those Zoom bombings that happen. So, and I would just like her to know who we sent it out to.
I can do that.
Are there any rumblings at all about the insurance costs coming in? Any info as to what the proposed increases or no increase
Go
would
ahead,
be?
Jim. You can
8%.
I'm sorry?
We got the information, it's 8%.
Okay. It's almost reasonable.
It stays there.
It's better than we were seeing being on, in a different situation. It is much better.
Early indications were it was going to be a little lower than that, and Jill and I were elated and hopeful, but at the end of the day, it ended up being 8%, and that seems to be a solid number. I don't think that's changing. I'm really pleased to know that it's not double digits,
Right.
because that's what we've been facing the last several years, is double digits.
Yes.
Ours
Okay.
is going to be a little bit more than the 8% because we had some position changes that someone who didn't have insurance, the new person came on with at least 2 people. We have somebody coming off that was on their parents' insurance that's now going to be a single, but it's still an increase. So it's going to be a little over an 8% for that insurance for us, but the positions are changing.
Yeah,
But
well,
still,
stop
it's much
telling
better.
these kids to grow up.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so then on or even before the 15th of March, everyone should get copies of the town budget and the education budget. So be on the lookout for that. Jill, let us know if there's anything different in terms of if you want us to pick it up or if you're just going to mail it out or drop it by, whatever.
I can talk that over with Jim. I know in the past it was dropped off at people's homes, so.
Yeah,
I'm-
we'll probably have them delivered.
Okay. And I do know that the Board of Education usually mails them out. So,
I know the Board of Selectmen usually provide it in a bigger, in a notebook and
well, it's
that
usually,
type of thing. So it's, yes, it is.
so.
Very large, yes.
Then on the 17th, which is actually our regular monthly meeting, the Board of Education will present their budget to us. The following Tuesday, the 22nd, the Board of Selectmen will present to us. And then that Thursday, we have, then we've got meetings Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, just to go through and discuss what we want to try to do with that. And in there, we will start talking about revenues, expected revenues, start, shaping this picture. We do have to file whatever we're going to present at the public hearing by the 22nd of April. The public hearing will be the 26th of April. And obviously, if all of our special meetings, if we have come to a conclusion sooner, we can get rid of some meetings, but those are on the calendar just to have them so everybody is aware of it. After the public hearing, we will meet immediately after to discuss what happened at the public hearing and what action we want to take, and potentially meet the next week if we need to. We need to have the budget. We don't have a referendum date. So we will obviously, once we have that, that sort of backs up what some of our other things are. We do have to have a budget ready by May 10th.
Emily, between you and I, we're gonna have to try to figure out and talk to Kristen about how we're gonna do the public hearing. Are we gonna do it at the school like we have in the past? Or I guess it also just depends on the governor's orders and what goes on from there. We're still within the April 30th date. So I guess we'll have to determine so that I can reserve the students' common area. But between the two of us, we'll have to see how that's going to work out. Because that still is only if it's available. We're still kind of on the draft version of this.
And if the governor's executive order still holds that we can do it Zoom, it may be just a fully Zoom thing like we've done the past 2 years.
Linda, you said it was the April 30th that it was supposed to end?
That's what I believe, yes.
So I guess it may still be up to us.
Well, and I think there's a large contingent of folks that would like to see this at least be able to extend in a hybrid fashion. And I think that is something that our legislature is going to be wrestling with in this short session to try to resolve. So if memory serves, Linda's date is correct, but that well could get changed permanently during this legislative session.
Okay. Well, keep us posted. If we cannot do it in the school, town hall is a much smaller space, but we also have the technology equipment there now to be able to do a hybrid.
And it's typically been enough to hold everybody that goes to those.
Lately, yes.
So,
So,
okay.
do you want me to reach out and see if I can get the students' common area for the 26th, or do you want to hold off?
Hold off for right now. Let's see what comes down the pike. I can ask an unofficial ask what this calendar looks like for that date, just so that we know if there's a conflict or not. But let's figure out what the governor is going to do on that one.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody know it has the meeting schedule.
Mhm.
Jill, do we have to do anything else with the meeting schedule? You're muted.
Yeah. We have to, I guess, consider it and vote on it, that those dates are going to work for everybody, so that we can, at least I can give it to the town office staff so that they can put it on the website, and the town clerk can have it, registered as those dates. And again, they can change, we put if necessary, so we can definitely change them, but to have some, so that we can put them out to the public and add them onto the website so that at least we can give them an idea when.
I move that we accept this presentation as we're looking at for the meetings for this year as presented.
Second.
Any other questions or comments?
I think if we have the flexibility to change it, we might as well just go ahead and pass it. I mean,
Right.
makes sense.
Okay. Then everybody in favor of the budget calendar as it stands, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Okay. We have a budget calendar. And we'll work through it as we need to. Then the last item on our agenda, Kristen, not to put you on the spot, but if you could give us a quick update on Kappa.
Yeah, so, and I do apologize because I was late for the meeting. So I missed part of the Board of Education and I jumped in right when they said that they were getting rid of the greenhouse. So basically this last Kappa meeting, it's just from the beginning, going over everything line by line. No real decisions, just seeing what we have going on. What I did see is, one thing that it seemed to create a lot of discussion is it's the fire alarm contract and looking around because they need to be replaced in the high school. So Kristen's been shopping around for that. We currently have somebody we go through, but still trying to look for the best deal. Keeping in mind that there is going to be a remodel for the school library, and that's supposed to happen in a couple of years, 2024. So we're starting to look and start to investigate that. Same thing with the remodel for the science room at the Bolton Center School. Very small things. I think there were two things that really stuck out for me for the town. And Jim, please jump in if you would like. Heritage Farm, there was a lot of discussion on that, talking about what to do for the property. There's been talk about the septic system and building a septic system that would be large enough to also support the town, which would make sense. But still trying to decide what to do with that bit of property, because right now we bring in all the porta potties whenever there's any type of an event. And it's right now, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that Heritage Farm needs for attention. So I think we're going to be looking at that probably closer at the next, over the course of the next few meetings. And let's see, I did also notice, and this is one where Jim might want to jump in, we do have a few vehicles that we need to replace. One being for the senior center, but we had a few other vehicles, and I'm just taking notice. My ears perk up whenever I hear anything that has to be replaced that has a chip in it, and that's in short supply. We appear to have the money right now, and we prepared for these replacements, and it's time for them. We'll see what happens if the price of any of those vehicles changes. I'm a little skeptical that the money that's been allotted will cover for them, but we'll see. As well as the timing, if we're going to have to wait for a period of time to replace some of them. But I don't know, Jim, I don't have anything else to add on that. Do you?
Well, I think the other big nut that we talked about was the tear down of Notch Road Municipal Center.
Yes.
And that current estimate is over $3 million. We did get through some contacts with Rich Hayes, we did get an actual new price this week, and the new price is about half of that. So we're really looking about $1.5 million. And one of the other pieces that we really need to deal with as a town, and not necessarily even in the capital budget, but one of the things we need to deal with is Notch Road Municipal Center is becoming an unsafe structure. We need to remove our staff from that building sooner rather than later. So that is something that is occupying a fair bit of my energy at the moment.
Jim, can I ask a question on that? Because that is new information about the, what Rich Hayes has just found about the cost being about half. That's significant. How could that be? I mean,
So there's a couple of ways that we get prices. One of the ways is we get vendors to come out and actually look at the project and give us a price. And we actually had that, a few years ago from a company called Evergreen Construction. The other thing is we're working off an engineering report that really says that Notch Road Municipal Center has to come down this year. And, their estimate of their timeline is really right on point. Jill will tell you that she's had to relocate within the Notch Road Municipal Center because the back half of the roof has started leaking as if there's no roof there whatsoever. And so that we actually got an updated price from the engineering company who uses a means construction manual to determine those costs. And that's where the $3 million came up, was from BVH, which is an engineering firm that, did that study for us and provided us the initial cost estimate. So the new cost estimate we had, Rich gave us a list of demolition contractors. And we found that one of those individuals was a company that we actually have a working relationship with and just were unaware that they did that type of work. They came out, and about a week ago, they came out, they looked at it, and we got the price back just today.
okay.
So that's how, it's evolved, and you see so very drastic differences. And if you remember, that was one of the things that I mentioned during that CAPA meeting, that I didn't believe that was a real number, and I wanted to get a real number. And today we got that real number.
Yeah, because about 4 or 5 years ago, it was, we had about $1 million estimate, I believe.
Right, and right now, they're talking a little over $1 million with about $350,000 worth of contingencies, and we think most of those contingencies are actually going to come to pass with regard to contaminated materials. So we're just going to plan for 1.5.
Well, the roof guys came out today, Jim, when I was there leaving, and they're gonna make it all better. They're sealing the roof. It's gonna be all better, so we won't have to worry.
So you wouldn't have to have an umbrella when it rains?
I can't even be in there. It's awful. It just,
No, the ceiling's coming down at this point.
it was right over my head.
I thought, Jill, didn't they move you over into the other building though?
No, I'm across the hall now. I physically moved part, my computers moved a few items, but they were hoping that we'd be able to seal it and get us through to the end of the fiscal year, and we'll see, maybe what they did today, although I don't have high hopes for it because it was still actively leaking in my office when the guys came out today. So I'm not sure how you seal it when it's still wet, but I'm just across the hall. Jim really is trying very hard to find a place for us. God bless him. But
Yeah, I thought they moved you guys over.
Pardon?
No, I thought they moved you over. I thought that was the plan, wasn't it? To move the Y program and then move you guys.
Well, that was a temporary thought, but Jim really wants us closer to that. He wants us in the town hall with the rest of the town employees. We really should be over there. Sometimes it's very difficult for Jim and I to talk, and we should talk more than we do, and we get things done, but it's not an easy, pop in an office kind of thing the way it is now. So Jim's trying very hard to get us closer to the rest of the town hall employees, which really needs to be done.
Yeah.
Well, keep us posted, because the work conditions for you and your team are awful. And
I'm over across with Lisa and Jenna now, so it'll work for now. It's temporary, but we have to do what we have to do and keep working,
Mhm.
but I'm sure that things will all fall into place. Jim is working very hard to try to make that happen, so.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Jill, and your team for existing
You're welcome.
not ideal conditions. So,
It is what it is.
any
This
other,
is a sign. It's time.
any other cap updates?
No, those were, I think, the big items, unless there's anything else that I may have missed.
No, I mean, our next meeting is scheduled, and again, like I said last night at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, March 15th is coming quickly, so, we need to get to work and get our work wrapped up so that we can, make these recommendations and put this into a working document for the Board of Finance to consider.
The only other big item that we're looking at is the center school, the roof and the masonry work that has to be done. That's going to be a large item that we're.
And I
looking
think
at.
that, I'm glad you brought that up, Jill, because I think that's worth, discussing a little bit, because, one of the things that, Kristen said was, we, as much as I hate to, we may want to try to, just extend the warranty on the roof a little longer and push this off. And her reason for saying that, which I think is an excellent reason, is that it really looks like the governor, in fact, I think it's in the governor's budget proposal to put $90 million aside as a 50% matching grant to deal with indoor air quality in schools. And her thinking was that since we have to do this, we've got to put air conditioning in. We need to wrestle with the indoor air quality issue. If we just put the roof off a year, then we probably will be eligible for some monies from the state as we're doing the roof and the parapet work. So I think we'll get into further discussions about that at the next CAPA meeting. But I suspect that everybody's going to think that that is a sensible decision and, just move that down the road just a little way.
And are we able to extend the warranty on the roof at the center school?
Yeah, I think that was already in the works.
Okay.
I get a call from those people wanting to extend the warranty every day. So it shouldn't be that hard.
That's on your car.
You know, me too, except it's my car. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, updates, comments?
Nope.
Okay. Then I will see everyone on March 17th at our regular meeting, and the Board of Ed will present to us. And remember, if you are interested and or available, the 23rd for the Board of Selectmen budget meeting, 24th for the education budget meeting. And if there are any other ones, we'll let you know. Okay.
Good.
Then I guess I can ask for a motion to adjourn.
No, you don't need one.
I don't need one. Okay. Meeting adjourned.